My friend, weakness does not always look weak. Sometimes it looks like anger you cannot control. Sometimes it looks like silence when you should speak. Sometimes it looks like comfort, delay, distraction, or the endless promise that you will begin tomorrow. You may hide it from the world, but you cannot hide it from the mirror of your own mind. And this is why I bring you into the shadow forge, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. Fire does not invent weakness in metal. It exposes what was already there. The hammer does not hate the steel. It gives the steel a shape strong enough to survive pressure. For the next few moments, do not listen as a spectator. Listen as raw iron enters the flame. Bring me your fear, your doubt, your hesitation, your pain. We will not decorate them. We will heat them, strike them, shape them, and turn every weakness into strength. Before metal can be forged, it must be placed in the fire. Before your mind can become strong, it must be placed in truth. Most people want strength, but they do not want honesty. They want confidence without confronting insecurity. They want discipline without admitting how often they surrender to comfort. They want peace without examining the anger they carry. They want a new life while protecting every habit that created the old one. My friend, this cannot be done. The first gate of the Shadow Forge is not effort. It is recognition. You must be willing to look directly at the part of yourself you usually hide, not with shame, not with hatred, with precision. A martial artist does not improve by pretending his weak side is strong. He improves by discovering exactly where balance collapses, where timing breaks, where fear enters the movement. The weakness you name can be trained. The weakness you deny continues to command you from the dark. Ask yourself a dangerous question. Where do I become smaller than I truly am? Is it when someone criticizes you? Is it when you are ignored? Is it when you are alone and no one is there to praise your effort? Is it when the task becomes difficult and your excitement disappears? Is it when you must choose between what is easy and what is right? Do not answer quickly. A quick answer is often the answer your image wants to give. Wait until the deeper answer rises. Perhaps you say you lack motivation, but the truth is that you have trained yourself to obey the mood. Perhaps you say people are stopping you, but the truth is that you are still asking them for permission. Perhaps you say you are waiting for the perfect opportunity, but the truth is that you are afraid to be seen beginning badly. Perhaps you call yourself patient when you are actually avoiding a decision. Perhaps you call yourself peaceful when you are afraid of necessary confrontation. Perhaps you call yourself realistic when you have simply become loyal to limitation. You must learn the difference between identity and conditioning. Identity says, this is what I am. Conditioning says, this is what I have repeated. What has been repeated can be interrupted. What has been learned can be retrained. What has been avoided can be approached. What has been weak can be strengthened. Take one sheet of paper and write 3 sentences. Write, I lose command of myself when, then finish it honestly. Write, I avoid becoming stronger by, then finish it without excuses. Finally write, the truth I no longer want to hide is, do not make the language beautiful. Make it accurate. Accuracy is more useful than inspiration. The Shadow Forge begins when the mask becomes too heavy to carry. It begins when you stop trying to look strong and start becoming strong. Looking strong is performance. Becoming strong is practice. Looking strong needs witnesses. Becoming strong often happens in an empty room. Looking strong protects the ego. Becoming strong allows the ego to be corrected. My friend, you are not here to defend the person you have been. You are here to discover the person you can train yourself to become. Enter the shadow. Look clearly. Name the weakness. Take responsibility for the next movement. The metal is now in the fire. Once the metal enters the forge, heat begins to change it. The rigid structure softens. Hidden impurities rise. The shape that once seemed permanent becomes available for transformation. In the same way, discomfort reveals where your mind is rigid, where your habits are weak, and where your character still depends on easy conditions. Most people misunderstand discomfort. They treat it as a command to stop. The moment boredom appears, they search for distraction. The moment fear appears, they delay. The moment effort becomes heavy, they lower the standard. The moment loneliness arrives, they run toward anyone who will fill the silence. The moment uncertainty enters, they return to the familiar, even when the familiar is destroying them. The weak mind asks, "How can I escape this feeling?" The forging mind asks, "What can this feeling train?" This does not mean you must chase injury, glorify suffering, or remain inside harmful situations. Intelligence is part of strength. A skilled fighter knows the difference between useful pressure and meaningless damage. He does not punch a wall to prove courage. He trains against resistance that builds skill. In life, chosen discomfort can strengthen you, while careless suffering can only drain you. Your task is not to worship pain. Your task is to stop wasting the pain that life has already placed before you. When a difficult conversation must happen, discomfort can train honesty. When a long task feels boring, discomfort can train attention. When you are rejected, discomfort can train dignity without approval. When you are alone, discomfort can train self-respect. When you make a mistake, discomfort can train humility. When progress is slow, discomfort can train patience. When fear rises before action, discomfort can train courage. The fire itself is neutral. What matters is how you stand inside it. Imagine two pieces of metal placed under heat. One is removed the moment the temperature rises. It never becomes flexible enough to be shaped. The other remains long enough for transformation. Your habits behave the same way. Every time you escape too early, you teach your nervous system that discomfort is danger. Every time you stay present with wisdom, you teach yourself that discomfort can be survived, studied, and used. Begin small. Do not try to become fearless in one dramatic day. Train your capacity. Sit for 10 minutes without touching your phone. Complete one important task before seeking entertainment. Hold your posture when the mind asks you to collapse. Take the cold truth of feedback without immediately defending yourself. Say no without creating a long explanation. Wake when you said you would wake. Finish the final repetition with correct form, not careless speed. These actions appear small, but the mind is watching. The mind learns from evidence, not from speeches. You can tell yourself 100 times that you are disciplined, but if you obey every impulse, the mind knows the truth. You can create a powerful image, wear the right clothes, repeat warrior phrases, and still be controlled by the desire for comfort. But when you repeatedly choose the meaningful action over the easy reaction, a new message enters your identity. I can remain under pressure without abandoning myself. This is how the fire begins to purify you. Discomfort exposes negotiation. You decide to train, and the mind says later. You decide to work, and the mind says first. Let us check something. You decide to speak honestly, and the mind says perhaps silence is safer. You decide to leave a destructive pattern, and the mind reminds you of every comfortable moment inside it. Weakness rarely attacks directly. It's a bargain. Do not argue with every bargain. Action is the cleanest answer. My friend who is weak wants immediate relief. Strength is willing to experience temporary discomfort for lasting freedom. Every time you choose temporary relief at the cost of your future, you cool the metal before it can be shaped. Every time you remain present and act with purpose, the old structure softens. The fire is not asking whether you enjoy it. The fire is asking what you are willing to become inside it. Heat makes change possible, but heat alone does not create a blade. Metal left inside the fire without direction becomes damaged. It requires the hammer, repeated, accurate force applied with purpose. In the forging of the mind, that hammer is discipline. Discipline is often described as harshness. I do not see it that way. Discipline is loyalty to the person you said you would become. It is the ability to remember your direction when your mood forgets it. It is not anger turned against yourself. It is alignment repeated until it becomes natural. Many people strike the metal once and then complain that it still has the old shape. They train intensely for 3 days and disappear for 3 weeks. They read one powerful book and expect years of confusion to dissolve. They make a promise at midnight and betray it by morning. Then they say, perhaps I am not strong enough. No, you are not finished enough. A blade is shaped by many correct strikes. Your character is shaped the same way. Understand the difference between intensity and continuity. Intensity feels powerful. It produces sweat, emotion, declarations, and sometimes quick results. Continuity is quieter. It returns after the excitement is gone. It is the second week, the 20th repetition, the ordinary morning, the unseen hour. Intensity may begin the transformation. Continuity completes it. The hammer must fall where the metal needs shaping, not where striking feels impressive. If your weakness is inconsistency, do not create a heroic routine so difficult that you abandon it. Build a practice you can repeat. If your weakness is distraction, do not simply work longer. Train shorter periods of complete attention. If your weakness is emotional reaction, do not promise never to feel anger again. Train the pause before response. If your weakness is self-doubt, do not shout empty confidence. Keep one small promise to yourself every day until trust returns. Discipline must be specific. Become better is not a practice. Write for 30 focused minutes before checking messages is a practice. Be stronger is not a practice. Train 4 times each week and record the work is a practice. Control emotion is not a practice. Take 3 breaths and wait 60 seconds before replying when triggered is a practice. The mind changes when intention becomes behavior. Choose a small number of standards and protect them. Too many rules create confusion. A warrior does not carry 10 unnecessary weapons. He carries what he knows how to use. Create 3 daily strikes of the hammer. The first strike should strengthen the body. Move, train, walk, stretch, breathe, or practice a physical skill. The body is not separate from the mind. When you train posture, endurance, coordination, and breath, you also train presence. A collapsed body can pull thought toward collapse. A controlled breath can interrupt panic. Physical practice gives the mind immediate evidence that effort changes capacity. The second strike should strengthen attention. Read deeply. Write clearly. Work on one task without switching. Sit in silence. Practice observing an impulse without obeying it. Attention is the hand that holds every other tool. A distracted mind cannot strike accurately. It wastes force in 10 directions and wonders why nothing changes. The third strike should strengthen integrity. Do one thing each day because you said you would do it. It may be small, but it must be real. Integrity is self-trust made visible. Every kept promise adds weight to your word. Every careless promise weakens it. Stop making dramatic commitments to impress your future self. Make clean commitments your present self can honor. My friend, motivation may light the forge, but discipline holds the hammer. Do not ask whether you feel powerful today. Ask whether your actions are shaping power. Do not measure yourself only by results you can show. Measure the quality of your repetition, the honesty of your effort, and the speed of your return. One accurate strike, then another, then another. This is how weakness loses its shape. The hammer does not work alone. The hand directing it decides where the force lands. In your life, that directing hand is the voice inside your mind. It interprets difficulty, names failure, describes your identity, and decides what each experience means. If that voice is careless, discipline becomes punishment. If that voice is weak, fear becomes authority. If that voice is clear, even pain can become instruction. Listen carefully to the language you use when no one else can hear you. When you make a mistake, do you say, "I am useless"? When progress is slow, do you say, "Nothing is changing"? When another person succeeds, do you say, "I will never reach that level"? When fear appears, do you say, "This means I should stop"? These sentences may seem like passing thoughts, but repetition gives them weight. The mind begins to organize behavior around the identity you describe. Do not confuse cruelty with honesty. Honesty says, "My preparation was weak." Cruelty says, "I am weak." Honesty says, "I reacted without control." Cruelty says, "I will never control myself." Honesty identifies behavior. Cruelty condemns identity. Behavior can be trained. A condemned identity feels permanent. Speak to yourself as a serious teacher speaks to a student with potential. The serious teacher does not flatter. He does not pretend poor form is good, but he also does not destroy the student's desire to learn. He corrects the movement and protects the possibility of growth. Replace vague judgment with precise instruction. Instead of "I failed," say "I began too late, divided my attention, and did not prepare. Now you have something to change." Instead of "I am afraid," say "My body is producing fear because the outcome is uncertain, but I can still choose the next action." Instead of "I have no discipline," say "I have not yet repeated this behavior long enough for it to become reliable." Instead of "I cannot handle pressure," say "Under pressure, my breath shortens and my thinking rushes. I will train breath and pause." Precision removes poison from the inner voice, but language alone is not enough. The inner voice must be backed by evidence. If you say, "I am becoming stronger," then perform one act that supports it. If you say, "I can face discomfort," remain present for another minute. If you say, "I control my response," delay the angry message. Words point. Behavior walks. Your inner voice also controls the meaning of pain. Two people can experience the same rejection. One says, "This proves I am not valuable." The other says, "This reveals where I must improve or where I no longer belong." One identity collapses. The other gathers information. The event is the same. The interpretation shapes the next movement. Do not force every painful event into a positive story. Sometimes loss is loss. Sometimes betrayal is betrayal. Sometimes a door closes and you do not yet understand why. Strength is not pretending that everything feels good. Strength is refusing to let one painful meaning become the only possible meaning. Say, "This hurts," and I will remain present. Say, "I do not understand this yet," and I will not rush into despair. Say, "I have lost something, but I have not lost the authority to decide who I become next." This is not empty optimism. It is a mental position. In martial arts, position determines possibility. If your balance is broken, even a strong technique becomes weak. In the mind, interpretation is position. If you interpret every difficulty as proof of inadequacy, you fight from collapse. If you interpret difficulty as information, training, or redirection, you recover your center. The inner voice must also learn when to become silent. My friend, your mind is always listening to the way you describe yourself. Do not hand it a weapon and ask why you feel wounded. Do not carve weakness into the steel with your own words. Speak with honesty, direction, and restraint, then prove the language through action. The steel takes the shape of the forces repeatedly applied to it. Your mind takes the shape of the thoughts repeatedly believed and the actions repeatedly performed. Direct both with care. After steel has been heated and shaped, it must be cooled with precision. If the process is careless, the blade can become brittle. It may look strong and still break under sudden impact. The human mind can become the same way. Discipline without stillness creates tension. Intensity without emotional control creates aggression. Constant pressure without recovery creates a person who appears powerful but is easily provoked. The fifth lesson of the Shadow Forge is this: strength must be cooled by calmness. Calmness is not weakness. It is stored power. It is the ability to remain available to reality when emotion tries to narrow your vision. An angry mind sees insults everywhere. A frightened mind sees danger everywhere. An impatient mind sees delay as failure. A calm mind sees more of what is actually present. In a fight, tension makes movement slow. The shoulders rise. The breath becomes shallow. The eyes fix on one threat and miss another. The fighter tries to force speed and becomes predictable. Relaxation does not remove readiness. It removes unnecessary resistance. Your emotional life requires the same training. When someone challenges you, notice what happens in the body before the story begins. The jaw tightens, heat rises, the chest becomes hard, breath shortens, the mind prepares a defense. If you learn to catch emotion at the level of the body, you can interrupt the reaction before it becomes behavior. Begin with breath. Not because breathing is magical, but because breath gives you a handle on the nervous system. Inhale without lifting the shoulders. Exhale longer than you inhale. Feel the feet, relax the hands, let the tongue rest. Do this before replying, before entering a difficult room, before making a decision under pressure. One conscious breath does not solve the whole problem. It creates space. Inside that space, choice returns. Most regret is created in the moment when emotion is fast and awareness is slow. You speak, send, strike, quit, accuse or promise before the deeper mind arrives. Then later you say, I was not myself, but you were yourself without training. The goal is not to become someone else. The goal is to bring your trained self into the moment sooner. Create a rule. When emotion rises above clarity, delay irreversible action. Do not send the message. Do not make the threat. Do not end the relationship in one sentence. Do not resign in rage. Do not promise what excitement cannot maintain. Walk, breathe, write what you want to say, then read it after the fire has lowered. Power is not the ability to act immediately. Power is the ability to wait when waiting protects accuracy. Stillness allows hidden emotion to become visible. This is why many people avoid silence. Without noise, they meet grief they have postponed, anger they have disguised, fear they have covered with ambition, and exhaustion they have mistaken for laziness. They keep moving because movement prevents the meeting. But what you refuse to meet in stillness will often control you in motion. Set aside a short period each day with no music, no screen, no conversation, and no task. Sit or walk slowly. Let the mind reveal its unfinished movements. Do not chase every thought. Notice what repeats. What conversation are you still fighting inside your head? Whose approval are you still trying to win? What result are you trying to force? What loss are you refusing to accept? What truth becomes louder when the room becomes quiet? Stillness is not empty time. It is internal reconnaissance. My friend, anyone can look powerful while conditions obey him. The test comes when insult, uncertainty, delay, and pressure enter the room. Can you remain open-eyed? Can you breathe before choosing? Can you feel emotion without becoming its servant? Can you carry fire without burning your own house? This is not softness. This is tempered strength. A forged blade is not complete because it is hard. It must be sharpened. The edge is created through friction, patience, and removal. In life, pain often becomes that friction. It removes the illusion. It reveals attachment. It shows where your identity depends on something outside your control. But pain does not automatically create wisdom. Pain can sharpen you, or it can make you cut everyone who comes near. The difference is how you use it. Do not believe that suffering alone makes a person strong. Some people suffer and become bitter. Some become cruel. Some build an identity around the wound and refuse every future that does not keep the wound at the center. Pain is raw material. It must be processed through awareness, responsibility, and action. When life strikes you, your first duty is not to create a lesson immediately. Allow the reality of the wound. If you lose someone, grieve. If you are betrayed, admit the injury. If you fail after giving everything, feel the disappointment. A warrior does not deny impact. He receives information from it. But after the first impact, a question must rise. What will I allow this to shape? Pain may tempt you to close. Betrayal may tempt you to trust no one. Failure may tempt you to avoid every meaningful risk. Rejection may tempt you to become someone false in order to be accepted. Loss may tempt you to stop caring. These responses feel protective, but protection can become imprisonment. Do not let one person's dishonesty turn you into a dishonest version of yourself. Do not let one failure convince you to live without courage. Do not let pain train the wrong lesson. The edge of the blade must be directed. Use pain to increase perception. Ask what signs you ignored, what boundary you failed to protect, what preparation was missing, what assumption collapsed, what dependency became visible. Not every painful event was your fault, but every painful event enters your responsibility once it is inside your life. Responsibility does not mean blame. It means deciding what you will do with what remains. There are pains you choose and pains that choose you. Chosen pain includes training, honest work, difficult learning, disciplined restraint, and the discomfort of growth. Unchosen pain includes loss, injustice, illness, betrayal, and sudden change. You cannot control all unchosen pain, but chosen discipline often determines how prepared you are to meet it. This is why you train on ordinary days. You build breath before panic. You build self-trust before rejection. You build physical capacity before hardship. You build financial restraint before uncertainty. You build honest relationships before isolation. Preparation does not remove pain. It gives pain less authority to destroy your structure. When you are hurt, do not ask only, why did this happen? That question may have no complete answer. Ask also, what does this moment require from me now? Perhaps it requires patience, perhaps legal or professional help, perhaps an apology, perhaps leaving, perhaps rebuilding, perhaps accepting that the old plan is gone, perhaps resting before deciding. Purpose begins when attention returns to the next necessary action. Pain becomes dangerous when it has no direction. A person carries anger for years because he never converts it into a boundary or a decision. Another carries regret because she never converts it into changed behavior. Another carries humiliation because he keeps returning mentally to the scene but never trains the skill that would restore confidence. The energy circles inside and becomes an identity. Give the energy a path. Sharpen pain into purpose. Let loss teach presence. Let rejection teach self-respect. Let failure teach preparation. Let betrayal teach boundaries. Let uncertainty teach adaptability. But never build an altar to suffering. You are not alive merely to endure. You are alive to express, create, connect, and move. The edge exists to serve life, not to cut life away. A blade can be forged, cooled, and sharpened, yet remain useless if it never leaves the workshop. The final lesson is action, not dramatic action performed for attention. Daily action that proves the mind has changed. Many people love transformation as an idea. They enjoy the language of strength. They collect quotes, routines, philosophies, and images of warriors. But the true test begins when the video ends, when the room is quiet, and when no one is watching what you choose next. The forge is not complete until your behavior changes under pressure. Can you remain calm with a person who knows how to provoke you? Can you keep the promise when excitement is gone? Can you walk away from a familiar weakness even when loneliness follows? Can you practice the basic skill after others have praised your talent? Can you admit error before someone forces you? Can you begin again without turning the restart into a performance? This is where philosophy becomes flesh. Do not try to carry steel by acting hard. Hardness is often fear wearing armor. You do not need to threaten, dominate, or make every room feel your intensity. Real strength reduces unnecessary movement. It does not need to announce itself because it is available when required. Carry the steel through standards. Know what you permit around you. Know what you refuse to do even when angry. Know what you will continue doing even when discouraged. Know which relationships support truth and which require distance. Know how you spend your mornings, your attention, your money, and your word. A life without standards leaks strength through 1,000 small openings. Boundaries are part of the blade. A boundary is not an attempt to control another person. It is a decision about your own participation. You cannot command someone to respect you, but you can decide how long you remain where disrespect is repeated. You cannot prevent criticism, but you can decide whether criticism becomes your direction. You cannot force honesty, but you can refuse to build your future on a lie. Speak boundaries without unnecessary violence. Clarity is enough. I will not continue this conversation while we are insulting each other. I cannot commit to that. This behavior is not acceptable to me. I need distance. I was wrong. A clean sentence often carries more strength than a long emotional speech. Carry the steel through adaptability. A blade has one edge, but a warrior has many movements. Do not become so attached to one method that you sacrifice the mission. Your goal may remain, but the path may need to change. If a plan fails, study it and adjust. If a door closes, do not spend your life punching the door. Look for another entry, build a new skill, or choose a different destination. Flexibility is not a weakness. It is intelligence moving without losing principle. Be flexible in method, firm in values. Change the schedule, not the commitment. Change the technique, not the standard. Change the route, not the responsibility. Change your opinion when evidence changes, but do not change your character for applause. Carry the steel through service. Strength that exists only for the self becomes vanity. Use your discipline to become dependable. Use your calmness to reduce chaos instead of creating it. Use your awareness to listen. Use your boundaries to protect what matters. Use your pain to understand without pretending you know another person's entire struggle. A warrior is not measured only by what he can withstand. He is measured by what becomes safer, clearer, and stronger because he was present. Bring the steel into your work, your speech, your relationships, your solitude, and your decisions. Let people meet the result without hearing the entire process. Let calmness reveal the fire you have learned to carry. Let discipline reveal the promises you no longer break. Let your boundaries reveal self-respect. Let your adaptability reveal intelligence. Let your service reveal that strength has not made you selfish. You entered as raw metal. You leave with an edge. Now live in a way that proves the forging was real. My friend, the Shadow Forge is waiting every time weakness whispers, "Not today." Enter it. Face what you hide. Stay in the useful fire. Let discipline become the hammer, truth become the hand, stillness cool the steel, and pain sharpen the edge. Do not hate your weakness, train beyond it. Do not pretend fear is gone. Move with control while it is present. And do not carry strength only in your imagination. Carry it into the next decision. When this message ends, choose one weakness and give it one new response today. Stand up before the mind negotiates. Breathe before emotion commands. Begin before confidence arrives. The old shape has held you long enough. Forge your mind. Turn weakness into steel. Then walk into the world with quiet power and let your actions reveal what the fire created.